Flying Bull Productions presents LaF, Literature and Film.
This is the good stuff.
Yeah.
It's the LaF Podcast. This is episode 113. Over there is Mr. Two Frames.
Howdy.
He's one of your hosts. How are you?
I'm doing well.
And I'm the L Train. I'm the other host, Mr. Two Frames. Have you ever been attacked by a bear?
Nope, haven't been to San Francisco yet.
Have you ever seen a bear in real life person that's not inside of a cage? I know we're talking about bears in the wild. Have you ever seen a bear in the wild?
Never seen a bear in the wild. I did have a friend who saw a bear in Fairfax County once while he was on a walk.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was just on the trail, back behind his house.
Well, there's a lot of deer over there.
Yeah, but bear.
I get it. There was a bear October 15th of last year, according to Yanan Wang, and writing in the Washington Post, that strolled through a Montana high school.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
And they went on bear lockdown. They have video footage of it. Scrolling through this. Now, could you imagine that happening in our school?
A bear?
A bear lockdown. And then every subsequent year, we'd have to have the bear drill. The bear lockdown drill. So, now,
that'd be great.
About a month after that.
Tell the kids to be quiet. Just grin and bear it.
Yeah. Shh. Why? There's a bear right outside the door.
Quick, does anyone have a picnic basket we can distract them with?
A picnic basket. All right, so about a month after that, did you hear about the Boy Scout leader that was mauled for 80 minutes by a bear?
Nope.
The bear snatched him. Ooh, jeez. I got really excited about it when I was acting this out. He snatched this Boy Scout leader right from underneath his troops, or Boy Scout troop, pulled him into the cage and mauled him. And it's a black bear, yeah, in New Jersey, which is not far from here. And Petterino, this guy, could hear him huffing for 80 minutes. He told his sons, or I guess his son was one of the Boy Scouts. They had to go find help for him
at a zoo.
No. They were out in the wild.
Pulled him back into his cage.
Cave. Bear
cave.
cave. Bears live in caves. Pulled his
First
sweatshirt.
I thought the bear was up in a tree and just like dropped down. Was hanging by his toes and grabbed the guy and pulled him back up into the tree, like Batman.
Into the tree.
Yeah, that's where I thought the bear was at first. You were saying, so he said because you said something like he just dropped down and grabbed the leader from the middle of the group. So I thought the bear was like Batman hanging upside down in a tree, grabbed him. That'd be awesome. I wish more bears were superheroes.
Well, the way I figure it, this came after they extended the bear hunting season in New Jersey for an extra 3 weeks. This is right at the end of that week or a couple days after that.
Mm-hmm.
In that time period, that extension, they killed 500 bears. And this bear got away. So what they did was they lured him away with some food and honey or something, because bears, they love them some honey. And then he came out of the cave, and one of the dogs, they had a search dog or something with him, started barking and scared the bear off, and he ran away. They never caught him. So I figure it's humans 500, bears 1. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 500 to 1. Anyway, how is this related to anything having to do with movies?
Yeah, how are you going to segue now?
The most famous bear attack in movies, or the most controversial, I suppose, now is this movie, The Revenant. So a couple of weeks ago, there was a released version of the film. They said that Leonardo DiCaprio had been raped by a bear. Did you see those headlines?
Nope, never saw these supposed headlines.
All right, it's on the internet, on the interwebs.
This was your favorite story back in December.
Well, now my new favorite story is about the bear wandering through the high school, because I kind of want that to happen to us. So our movie this week is The Revenant.
Safe thing to do is track a new course back up online.
Then what we gonna do? Sit out there like a bunch of goddamn ducks?
You and your half-breed son get to walk on out?
I'm talking to you.
son.
The proper thing to do would be to finish him off quick.
He's to be cared for as long as necessary.
I understand.
Help!
A frontiersman on a fur trading expedition in the 1820s, this is from IMDb, fights for survival after being mauled by a bear and left for dead by members of his own hunting team. And that's just sort of like the starting point, I think, of the movie.
Yeah, that's the first 25 minutes of the film.
Yeah, and
a lot of other stuff goes on.
A lot of other stuff goes on. This is written and directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu, along with co-written with Mark L. Smith, starring Leonardo DiCaprio as frontiersman Hugh Glass. Tom Hardy is one of his two adversaries in the film, along with the bear. Domhnall Gleeson stars as Captain Andrew Henry. Oh, sorry, Hardy's name's Fitzgerald in the movie. Domhnall Gleeson, or Donald Gleeson. The M and the H are silent in his name, supposedly. And Will Poulter stars as Bridger. I think those are the key actors in this movie so far. Mm-hmm. There's also a guy named Dave Stomach Wound. That's his actual name in the script. And Stubby Bill, which gives you sort of an idea of what this movie's like. This hardcore.
Hugh Glass was a real frontiersman. This is based in part on a true story. But at the end of the movie, they say based in part on the novel that someone wrote about this whole thing, since there are a lot of differences in how this film ends versus how everything ended in real life. And we'll probably touch on that in the spoiler section.
Yeah, we can touch a little bit on it here. And, I mean, he was his own person. All these guys were famous frontiersmen, as far as I know. I mean, a lot of them are real people. I don't know about Dave's Stomach Wound, but I know this guy, Jim Bridger, or Bridger, the Will Poulter character. That's the person that Aldo Raines references in Inglourious Bastards. I'm a descendant of John L. Bridger, or however he says it, I don't know. That's the Bridger they're talking about. Mm-hmm. So he's a real life character. And like you said, Hugh Glass and John Fitzgerald Bridger, they all sort of worked in the 1820s and 30s in, this is, I think, set in South Dakota. Mm-hmm. And they were fur trappers and traders and miscegenators. A lot of them intermarried with the Native Americans in that area. So they touch on a lot of different themes in this movie. It's not just about a bear attack. But I'm really wondering what you thought of it, because it was one of our most anticipated films of the year.
Oh yeah, and I think all of Hollywood has been trying to anticipate this film because it's had such a troubled production history. It was originally budgeted for about $60 million. I think they tried to get Inarritu to do it for $30 million. He's like, "There's no way. I need $60 million. I do it for $60 million." Eventually, the budget ballooned up to $135 million, mainly because it just took so long to film this. Mm-hmm. And they were filming in such remote locations. Part of this was filmed in America, part in Canada, and then when winter ended here, they had to go down to Argentina to finish it.
Argentine. Why is it Argentine?
I like the sound of that. I think the whole country should be renamed to that. Argentine.
Shortened it.
Yeah.
Makes it a lot easier for us.
So really, really difficult. Inarritu had a lot of bad press in making this film.
Yeah, I heard
a lot of people talk badly about him. I think in the long run, though, he comes out looking pretty good. This is an impressive film visually.
A lot of his crew members left the shoot, and then they talked bad about it. But yeah, you're right. Is it Lubieski? Who was the cinematographer for this? He won 2 years ago for Gravity. Mm-hmm. He won last year for Birdman. I think he's likely to win an Oscar this year for cinematography in this movie, Revenant. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out when we get into the Oscar season, which is coming up pretty soon here.
Yeah. No, I mean, overall, I think it's great. It depicts a time period that we don't see a whole lot. This 1820s, pretty much you see stuff revolutionary, and then we skip ahead 70 years, and we get to the Civil War. Mm. Right? So the time period in between, you don't see a whole lot. And the harshness of nature and the power of nature really comes through strongly. Not just, the bear attack, but also the freezing cold,
Yeah, the
all the
conditions.
snow, the rugged landscape. And even though it beats up Leonardo DiCaprio for the whole movie, it never does so with any evilness. The real evil comes from the John Fitzgerald character played by Tom Hardy.
Mhm.
I mean, that really shows you that man is our own worst enemy. I mean, Leo alone in nature, he gets along pretty well, but Tom Hardy plays one of the most evil characters in recent memory.
Ooh, I might take you to task on that a little bit. One of the most evil characters in recent memory. All right.
I mean,
there's a lot of ambiguity in this movie, and
Right.
I think Inarritu's playing around with that a little bit. But I like how you mentioned about the how nature is depicted, and that epic struggle is one of mutual respect. Well, not mutual respect, but at least respect on the part of Glass in this movie, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and you just kind of see him accepting his role and what he has to do. It's a beautiful film. So they capture the beauty of nature in this. They also capture, like you said, the power of nature. I was like amazed at how much I loved the movie. It was almost like being out in nature with Indians shooting arrows at you and stuff. The times when it was allowed to just be a sort of a study of nature and man's role in nature were the best parts of the movie to me. But there were times where I was taken out of the movie, and it made the experience a little bit less than what I was hoping for. I'm still struggling as to whether or not, or where it lands on my list at the end of the year. I think it's going to be in my top 10. I don't know how high. I haven't really studied that yet, but I kind of half expected it to be number one. I have been saying all along Leonardo DiCaprio wins Best Actor nomination for this, and probably the award. What do you think?
I could see him getting nominated. I don't think he should win for this.
Well, all right. There's a should win and will win.
Fine, I'll say he doesn't win.
All right. We'll talk more about Oscars later, I guess, with this. What did you think of the other acting performances?
But, I mean, to go back to Leonardo
Right,
DiCaprio, I think a lot of people are saying, well, look at what his character goes through. Is he really acting? I mean, when he has to try to stay warm, and he's shivering cold, well, he's outside where it is really cold. I don't feel like he's really acting. He's just going through and experiencing this stuff.
Right.
In a lot of ways, then, how does that performance differ from Johnny Knoxville in the Jackass films?
Right.
When he's
I
suffering.
understand
So,
that,
I mean,
but-
to me, that would be why I don't think he should win Best Actor.
I get the argument. However, that being said, there's something in his performance that draws me as an audience to him, and I'm invested in to whether or not he's successful. And I have I rarely have an emotional attachment for characters in movies. But the more that I think about this movie, the more I kind of feel that I did have an attachment to him. The only other character I can think of this year is the dying girl, and Me and Earl and the dying girl, that I had a personal emotional attachment to, and I had a personal emotional attachment. I was invested in this guy's journey and his, his intent and his motivations, and I just, it stuck with me after I left it, more so than any of the other top movies.
Okay, because, I mean, for me, a very similar character arc, struggle to survive, is Matt Damon's character in The Martian.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked a lot better for me. I would give Matt Damon the Oscar over Leonardo DiCaprio.
Might be a little bit more entertaining, but I can see why you can make an argument for both of them. I still think DiCaprio wins, though, because I made the prediction back at the beginning of the year, and so I'm sticking with it.
And it's just one of those, this is finally his year. He's been nominated multiple times.
Yeah, I think so.
This is his breakthrough performance.
Yeah. I think that's probably going to, they're going to recognize him for, he didn't get it for Wolf of Wall Street, or he didn't get the supporting actor for,
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
No, I was thinking of the last Tarantino movie, Django.
Django, he was nominated for J. Edgar.
I don't know.
I mean, he's been nominated a lot. If you plugged in a different actor, do they get a nomination because of this role?
Yeah, probably. Unless they don't pull it off. Like if Tom Hardy is his role, he probably gets a nomination. I like Tom Hardy a lot in this movie. I don't think he gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Tom Cruise in this role. if he plays.
Well, then, see, Tom Cruise is just a little too cartoony, so it's hard to suggest. And I don't know, when you mentioned Tom Cruise, I was thinking action movies, and ironically, this may be the best action movie I've seen this year. There are 3 action sequences that are, I would say, in the top 5 of action sequences throughout the year. One of them's really brief. Mm-hmm. The action sequence that opens the movie is the feeling that I was half expecting when you said the opening sequence of The Avengers was among the best action sequences you've seen. And when I think back on it, I walked out of that. I was sorely disappointed. This one, I wasn't expecting an opening scene. I wasn't expecting an open like that. You
hadn't heard about this.
I hadn't heard about it. I had nothing.
Okay. Came
out of nowhere, and it blew me away. And I was thinking about it. There were several instances. I mean, there were probably, I would say, at least 50 gags in there, maybe 100 gags, and probably a whole lot of gags you didn't even see in terms of like stunt work and. Maybe that some of it was computer generated, but I bet you there were a lot of practical effects, especially with those arrows on zip lines or something like that. And it was, after that scene, I was sort of, kind of breathless, and I was like, this is what movies are made for. This is what this experience is supposed to be like. So for me, this was probably the best. It probably was the best, other than, Thunder Road. What is it?
Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad Max Fury Road. I keep thinking of Bruce Springsteen songs. Mad Max Fury Road, top to bottom's best action film, probably, maybe of all time. This has some of the best action sequences of all time. It's just separated by a whole lot of guys freezing in the cold.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that worked so well was that they heavily choreographed and rehearsed these action sequences. That opening one, I think, took them close to 3 weeks to film. So it's closer to like the Asian kung fu model of doing action sequences and just having a lot of time, to get them right. And even though those have a lot more editing done to them, it works better. We both are fans of the Raid films. Some of those action sequences took them a week or more to do. And I think it pays off. And I don't know why Hollywood doesn't try and do that more. I mean, you can always add in CGI and explosions, but, take the time with your actors, train them up, and do these big, one-take type action scenes. To me, that's what would put butts in seats.
A lot of them don't want to make that kind of investment. Like you said, this one went way over budget, so a lot of producers aren't going to sort of tag that.
But you plan out that you're going to have this much time. I don't think they originally planned to take that long. One of the problems was, since they had such a limited window to film every day, and a lot of times the sunlight wasn't the same from day to day, that all they had was time to practice and choreograph, and I think they kept adding in more and more elements because they had the time to do it. Why don't you just give yourself that time and let talented directors and actors, fight choreographers,
you have to
do this?
You also have to have the director that's motivated to do something like that. Not every director is like that. Not every director wants to make that sort of sacrifice. Like Inarritu does, is proven by Birdman. I mean, they practiced those scenes, which they had to, but they practiced those for months and blocked them out. They even mocked up an entire theater,
Oh, yeah.
So,
but I'm thinking the Raid movies, John Wick is another one where there aren't a ton of cuts.
But there also aren't a whole lot of actors directors that want to do that.
I don't know why not. I mean, to me, that wins me over when it's not the quick cuts, when I can see what's going on. And I realize we both love Fury Road, and that's nothing but cuts. But that's a whole different style, and that's done with a whole lot of skill. And there were tons of storyboards for that. That was all heavily choreographed and planned out months and months, even years in advance.
Right.
To me, that pays off, and that makes cinema where I can go and recommend it to people. Go watch this.
Right. But then with Glory Road, Thunder Road,
Fury Road,
Jiminy Christmas, with Fury Road and this movie, The Revenant, it still is a hard recommendation to make, because I think a lot of people have to be willing to, it's a different type of entertainment. With Fury Road, it's just, there's a different aesthetic. And a lot of people find some of what goes on in that disturbing. Like, there's some visual things that happen with different characters. and they don't like the violence. So it's you gotta recommend it to a certain niche group.
Yeah.
This movie, similarly, I love it. I still don't know who I'd recommend it to. I mean, it'll be seen by word of mouth, but the slow parts of it, the quieter parts, the parts where you have to just allow this torment to happen to this character, like his recovery and his travel, his journey, or whatever. Those are the things where people in our theater, at least, they were taken out of it. They were just like,
yeah, and
whatever.
there's a lot of dream sequence stuff that I felt we were just getting bashed over the head with it.
Right.
One or two of those scenes was fine. I didn't need to see 4 or 5 of Leo's dreams.
Right.
So
magical realism.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of slowness at times, and it really is juxtaposed with those action sequences. But if you think this was like a 3-month journey or 2-month journey the character went on, and there were probably moments of
6 weeks,
intense action followed by periods of
you mean the real life guy
slowness. Oh yeah.
You know what? I looked into it. The real life guy. I mean, it's tremendous what he did. Don't get me wrong, but like halfway through his journey, he found a raft and he found some people to help him. So it's not like he made the whole trip all the way alone back to Fort Sioux or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't diminish his accomplishments. For Christ's sake, he was mauled by a bear. But the movie sets up a whole lot of different action sequences and like key events that happen. To me, they were realistic, but I don't think they happened to the real character. Like,
characters keep popping up, and even though we're supposed to be traveling
random
dozens of miles,
it's
these encounters, they're still bumping into each other. They're the only 50, 60 white people in all of South Dakota,
right.
And they keep running into each other.
It's a weird thing going on there with the different characters, and I never really did get a sense of distance or time. So I was kind of in that state where I think I was listening to the last Serial podcast, and Bo Bergdahl was a prisoner of war for like 5 or 6 years or whatever. After his second or third escape attempt, he decided that there was no way that he could continue to make himself sober or sane or live through this experience if he thought about the future or if he thought about the past. All he had to do was live in that second.
Mm-hmm.
And every second, he said, was an eternity. I got that feeling through this movie, through what was happening with Hugh Glass and Leonardo DiCaprio, that every step along the way was an eternity. And when those things happen in movies, it's sort of sublime. I love it. And it's rare for me to have that kind of experience. So I've grown to appreciate it a lot more since we've been away from it. When I first came out of it, there were a lot of things that bothered me, but we can talk about it in spoilers if you're ready.
I think I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and spoil this thing, man.
The man that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils.
Is this movie the sequel to Avatar? What? He goes native, right? He kills someone. He fights. They allude to the fact that he killed an army general.
He was an officer trying to kill his son, right?
Who wiped out. Well, yeah, he tried to kill somebody. Wiped out his family, supposedly, and his whole entire village, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now this is the sequel. This is him fighting back or having to deal with the ramifications of having gone native completely, trying to straddle that world.
He gets attacked by a bear.
No, that's a small part of the movie. I mean, that's a great part visually, but you could get attacked by a big Schlibbaba wombat or whatever they have in Avatar. I'm just saying this is Fern Gully Part 2.
No, I mean,
Dances
to me,
with
this
Wolves.
is The Martian minus Mars.
Oh, okay. Plus a bear.
Yeah.
And Indians.
Yeah, and Tom Hart.
Okay.
But I mean, it's man versus nature.
It's also man versus their own stupidity. Like, why do they walk through water all the time when it seems like they could choose not to? There's a lot of water walking.
They have to get to the other side.
They think they're like Jesus. No, they walk down the middle. Like, even the opening shot is water. They're walking down the middle.
Well, he's in a swamp type area.
Go back and look. You'll see how many times they choose to walk through water as opposed to across water.
Because it washes away your scent. Makes tracking the animals easier.
All right.
And the sound of water covers over your footsteps.
It's also pretty cold.
Oh, don't be a wuss.
Other than the bear attack, though, they weren't really afraid of animals, right? I don't think that happens much in the movie.
Yeah, no, it's only that one bear.
One giant bear.
You were kind of hoping the bear would show back up at the end.
As a revenant itself. A revenant
Ghost
is,
bear.
Yeah, ghost bear.
I would have enjoyed that.
You say Tom Hardy's evil.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's definitely evil.
I say he's the most pragmatic and perhaps the smartest guy there. Over a bunch of dumb people. Might not be the best tracker or anything, but he kept saying
he wants to stay in the boat.
Yeah, that was a bad idea. That was a good idea to get off the boat.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure those guys die. We don't see them again in the film.
I think they show the boat burned up.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's not too smart.
No, that's not too smart.
He wants to lug all the furs back with him, even though there's no way they can carry him. That's not too smart.
Well, they do, but he's not the only one. Wait a minute. Wait, let's stay with that point. He's not the only one that wants to do that. In fact, most of them want to do that.
Okay.
But that's why they were there.
He's not the most pragmatic. I mean, digging a hole and hiding them is pretty smart. So you can come back and get them.
Maybe, but then it's overrun with Indians.
And probably the last thing is he wants to kill Leonardo DiCaprio, but kills his son instead and decides to leave Leo alive.
Right. Like I said,
could
the
have
movie's
ended
flawed.
that pretty quick. So
that doesn't make him
pragmatic.
evil, though. I think he feels guilty. That's why he leaves him alive. So you might be right. He's not pragmatic, but he's also. I don't think he's evil.
I mean, if you want to say selfish, but I feel like he's pretty darn evil. He's very manipulative.
He goes to Leonardo DiCaprio's character and he says, "If you blink, then I'm going to put you down." DiCaprio blinks.
He just closes his eyes eventually.
He blinks. He doesn't just close his eyes eventually.
Yeah, because I remember sitting in the theater trying to keep my eyes open during that whole time because I'm someone who blinks a lot. And if someone was like, "You
assertively blinks," he has an agreement with him. That's why he lets him go at the end. That's why he lets him down the river. That's what, and the only reason he wants to get any revenge on him at all, it's not just necessarily because they left him. It's because he killed his son. And Tom Hardy kills the kid because the kid is fighting him.
Well, Tom Hardy's trying to stop him from killing his father.
No, Tom Hardy's trying to stop.
Or the kid's trying to stop Tom Hardy from killing his father.
Right.
Right.
And he kills the kid, but the kid's attacking him. It's just like the bear.
They're just struggling, and all of a sudden he pulls a knife on the kid.
It's not that they're just struggling. He's being attacked. I mean, you get attacked, you kill the bear. Sometimes you kill the bar. Sometimes the bar kills you.
Kid, and he's a full-grown man.
You're attacked by an Indian.
He didn't have to resort to killing him.
When I think about why he let him go, why he let
You're saying Leo at the end of the film
live. Well, no, all right. So there's two situations, but when I think about why Fitzgerald allowed Hugh Glass to live, I think it's because he felt guilty for having killed his son.
Let him live by putting him into a pit, covering him with dirt.
Not killing him, not shooting him in the head, not stabbing him.
So instead it's better to let the guy slowly die of natural causes.
Well, then there's also the fact that there's a witness there.
Or
like he would have had to do that in front of him.
It's kinder to let someone die of thirst than it is to put a bullet in their brain.
But it's not that it's kind. They had a deal. He even says at the end of the film, we had a deal.
But you're saying he lets him live because...
Yeah, I think he feels guilty because he killed his son. I think he felt guilty when he killed his son.
So, because he feels guilty, he thinks it would be nicer to let Leo die of thirst than to kill him quick and into suffering.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why he decides not to do it.
Yeah, I feel like that argument has some holes.
They had a deal. They had a deal.
No, so
Leonardo DiCaprio agreed to it.
He just closed his eyes.
No.
So that he couldn't blink.
He
I think he was trying to keep
his
his eyes open. It's like, crud, this guy's, as soon as my eyes, naturally they have to blink because I've kept them wide open for 2 minutes now. I'm dead. So he just closes them and keeps them shut.
Nope. I'm telling you, he assertively blinks. He agrees to it. And if he didn't agree to it, then Hugh Glass is an asshole because he is going to die there. Or his son will probably die there with him. Probably.
He wants to live.
Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have cursed.
He wants to live.
I don't think he does. I think he wanted Hugh Glass I think he wanted Tom Hardy to kill him.
Tom Hardy constantly rearranges the truth, and he lies to see things in his own light. So when he's, at the end of the movie asserting, "Oh, we had a deal," nah.
But he's doing it in a practical sense. I mean, he's got to save himself. It's just like
okay. And if he wants to save himself, then he doesn't stay behind with the body. If he's that worried about dying,
didn't they stay for a couple of days with the body?
Yeah, but he could have stayed with the group. Instead,
He wanted the money.
yeah, the evil money.
I don't know.
The root of all evil.
Well, why are they all up there? They're all up there for money. That's what they do.
Yeah, but he
I mean, that's
goes, oh, I can't spend $75 if I'm dead. And when it gets up to 300, he's like, all right, I'll do it.
Right. He's a good haggler. He's a pragmatic man.
I think he's very evil, and I think a lot of that is Hardy's performance. The way he just has those dead eyes. There's a scene when the kid, Will Poulter, pulls the gun on him.
Okay.
And he's just staring down the barrel at it. You can't do that if you're a good person.
Yeah.
You got to have some dead in your soul to pull that off.
They might have cut his soul out of his body when they scalped him while he was still alive.
Yeah, I wish they talked about that
Pretty
some
cool.
more.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool visual though, in terms of what these people had to put up with.
Oh yeah, and I mean you can understand why this guy acts the way he does, and why he has a hard view on
Why
life.
he's so evil.
I say evil.
I say that it explains, at least in terms of what happens at the end of the movie with him. Revenge is left to nature or whatever, and he just kind of lets him float down the water to the Indians. I think it's because he realizes, yeah, they did have a deal. Hugh Glass realizes, yeah, you're right.
So
I don't think he says that
down the
but
river because then he's not killing
well, if the
them.
Indians don't kill him, then he has a chance to live just as much as Hugh Glass had a chance to live when the bears didn't
stabbed
kill
a
him.
bunch of times.
Yeah, he was mauled by a bear.
No. I'm talking Tom Hardy.
Well, I'm saying that
His character's going to die. He's been stabbed a bunch.
Maybe he will, maybe he don't. You could say the same thing about Hugh Glass's character.
That was a big night. Yeah, and you don't survive that, and he's still got to make it back.
So you don't think that Hugh Glass survives?
Hugh Glass got incredibly lucky.
No, I mean at the end of the movie after that fight, because I think he takes as many hits as maybe not as many, but he takes quite a few hits. The same number of
he gets stabbed.
He's pretty
in the leg.
brutalized.
I think he survives. I mean, I know in real life he survived a couple more years until he was killed by Indians.
Well, I think Fitzgerald lived.
Native Americans.
Fitzgerald lived for like 25 years or something.
Oh yeah, in real life, Glass didn't kill anyone in revenge.
They made up. Yeah. And I think I read somewhere that Glass didn't want to kill Fitzgerald because he was a soldier. He had signed up as a soldier, and there was a penalty of murder.
Probably death. Yeah, if he had killed him, and then the kid he didn't blame. He said the kid was still so young.
That guy becomes pretty famous in that circle of what's it called, the Northwest Passage. Mm-hmm. How do they get to
Oregon Trail? Yeah,
the Donner family apparently visited him or stopped at his fort, whatever his fort was. I don't think he was there, but he was involved in a lot of things in American history. Oh. I liked Will Poulter in this movie. I don't think I'd like him. Is it Will Poulter? Mm-hmm. I don't think I've liked him in much anything else.
You didn't like him in We're the Millers? Mm-mm. Or he was in the Scorch Trials?
Yeah, wasn't he? That's the Divergent thing. Maze Runner? No.
Similar.
Yeah.
Maze Runner is its own thing. But teen dystopian.
All right. Were you as frustrated with the film as I was with the effect of the splatter on the glass, or the blood splatter on the lens? I think you mentioned one time it fogs up because he's breathing on it.
Yeah, Leo's breath fogs up. No, that didn't bother me. I felt that was a stylistic choice, and I don't mind at the end when Leo breaks the fourth wall and looks directly into the camera.
Yeah, well, it's that ambiguous ending that Inarritu is so fond of. Yeah, because I guess the breathing happens after credits. Post credits, it goes down. He continues to breathe, so I guess that leads me to believe he lives somehow. He makes it back to the fort. I have no idea why.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't find that as ambiguous, but
well, what did you think it was when he stared into the camera?
Holy crud! What do I do now? My whole life has been about, the last couple of months has all been about surviving and getting revenge. Now I have. Now what do I do with my life?
That's what that visual pulls off. Because
that's what I thought, and then it's like, holy crud, this place is harsh. This is hard. But when he had motivation,
the theater that he's looking at, the theater full of confused people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I thought it would have been great if he had said, "Well, that happened."
If he said, "What's up, man?"
I don't know. I didn't really like the way that Inarritu chooses to end it. I thought it was a little overwrought.
I thought it was consistent with everything else that happened in the movie. And then this was filmed with what were they? It was the first time they filmed with this special type of camera.
I know they used digital to film this because it gave them an extra hour of filming a day.
I think it was 6K.
Because it could film in lower light. Sounds about right.
It's the first feature film to be shot with a new 6K, 6.5K RE65 cameras.
I don't know. I think it's a good movie. I don't know if it makes back its budget, though.
Oh, it made like $50 million this week.
Yeah, but it cost $135 million to make. Marketing's going to be another $40 million, and you've got to make almost double that to make back your money.
I think it makes it back. I think it'll make it back in the long run.
Yeah, and I mean, to me though, this is worrisome. I like Inarritu as a director, but he needs to stick to smaller budget stuff. He's becoming like, was it Michael Cimino? Simeone,
yeah,
the director of The Deer Hunter.
Mm.
You know, much better with smaller scale film.
What a pull, deep pull.
I mean, I really think. I mean, Inarritu set up to make the harshest film he could make. You know, and basically you're spending money just waiting for the sun to come out so you can shoot for an hour or so a day.
Yeah, but
that's not smart. And where does he go from here? Because I think he wants to do bigger and grander, and eventually you're just not going to have the return on the box office.
I don't know. I think this is the perfect size story. It doesn't go too epic. I mean, it's an epic tale, but it's still one man struggle.
But it's still a $135 million picture.
Right.
For basically an art house film.
But that made $50 million its first year. I mean, the first week. And if it gets all this Oscar, positive press because of DiCaprio's performance, and I mean, he might win Best Director, might even win Best Picture. If it gets all that, then it'll easily make it back.
It's got to make $250 million at least to make back its money. Probably closer to $300 million.
Over time, it'll make it.
And
back.
then when this guy wants to do his next film, and it doesn't do as well,
back-to-back Best Director Oscar.
I don't think he gets director. I think they'll give it to someone else.
I don't know.
But the trajectory of this guy seems a lot like Deer Hunter to me. This doesn't say Spielberg to me.
Well, thank God, because Spielberg, I don't know. I don't like Spielberg's vision as much as I like.
But he can go from small to big budget movies, and he was still able to make his money and still have them be box office successes.
Well, I hope you're not right in your assessment of Inarritu. And I really want to see the next thing that he does.
I do too. I'm hoping that the studio's smart and only gives him 15 to 20 million.
How much was Birdman? 30?
I don't even think it was that much.
Huh. All right.
So you got to
wait a
watch
minute. So if they
scale.
didn't keep pouring money into this movie, it wouldn't have been made. And then
yeah, they were too far to stop.
Well, no, I mean, then we wouldn't have seen it, and you would have been happy with that.
No, I mean, I would be very cautious of giving this guy another big budget movie because really all he's done is small scale stuff before this. This was by 2 or 3 times, I think he said, the budget that he's ever had.
Mm.
And I'm just worried where he goes from here.
All right. Fair enough.
When he says, I want to make a crusade film or something.
I don't want, I don't want that kind of stuff, but.
Or, if he starts going the Herzog direction, says, I want to go up the Amazon River or pull a boat over a hill. Yeah.
All right.
So.
Fair enough. I hope that the prediction doesn't come true. I hope my prediction comes true about him being awarded Best Actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, that is, for his portrayal of Hugh Glass.
All right. Fair enough.
Next week is Top 10.
Top 10.
Starting our Top 10 list of the year. Films.
Yeah. Looking back at the films that came out in 2015, what we felt were the top 10 films. We'll each be presenting our list.
You mentioned having a film of the year for the LaF Podcast.
I think LaF needs to nominate a film, say this, or give out the award, because we didn't do it on the award show, top film.
No, we did not.
So
I like that idea.
Hopefully we can come to some consensus. If you want, you could email the show and tell us what we should have as our number one film. You can let us know what your pick was for the top film. You can do that by emailing the LaF Podcast at gmail.com. You can tweet us at the LaF Podcast, or you can send us a message on the good old Facebook at facebook.com/the LaF Podcast.
Excellent. Poor David Bowie died this week. Did you like him?
Yeah, I like some of his movies.
Died peacefully surrounded by his family after a courageous 18-month battle with cancer. This is my favorite quote by David Bowie. You would think that being a rock star, being married to a supermodel, would be one of the greatest things in the world. It is. So for Mr. Two Frames over there, I'm the L Train. Pox Bodum, everybody.
There be dragons.